Thank you, Dr. Beda, for your kind words and your inspiring talk, about the various aspects. I really thank you, OZTC, Mr. Kesar, Mr. Mehra, and other, people sitting over here. And it's a pleasure to be here and share some of my views. Yesterday, I was interacting with our workers. We have a program known as PACE. PACE is personal advancement and career enhancement. This is the program that we have been implementing since 2007. It is the program inspired, funded initially by GAP International. There were 4 partners in this program. GAP was the promoting partner. Then they had other 2 partners, that's ICRW, that is International Center for Research on Women, and third partner was Swasthi, that is the NGO, and we. So we all started this program in 2007, and the main aim of this program was to empower female garment workers. The female, normally, in our industry, 70-75% workers are female workers. They come from very humble background. They are denied opportunities at various stages in their life. And the idea is to empower them, to bring the confidence in them and feel responsible to themselves, to the company, to their family, and to the society. So yesterday when I was interacting with them in a function, so one of the girls stood up and narrated a small story, which I think is very, very relevant, particularly when our theme is the commitment to excellence. She said that there was a temple under construction and a sculptor was making idol. A tourist passed by, he stood there and he saw a man busy with making the statue, idol. He asked him, okay, there is another same type of statue which is lying there, idol lying there. So why are you making replica of the same thing? He said, there is some defect in that one. And then he started looking at the statue, at that idol, and couldn't find any defect in that one. He said, I don't notice any defect in this. He said, no, there is this thing, a small scratch on the nose of the statue. Then the tourist asked him, where are you going to install this statue? He said, this will be on a pillar 20 feet high. Then he said, if that is that far, then who is going to notice that? So why are you bothered so much about this thing? He said, I can't fool myself. People can fool others, but I can't fool. I know that there is a defect in the statue, in the small scratch on the nose of the statue. And whenever I will pass by, I will notice that, I have not done my job correctly. And this is what is the commitment. And that particular worker was from a quality department. So if we can have, this, I'm just giving this example just to highlight, if our workforce is committed, they know what they are doing, then I think it will be very easy to sustain and to expand the business. But of course, we need a lot of, patience, lot of, patience to train the people, to invest in them. And once we invest in them, then success will definitely follow. Let's step back for a moment and look at our garment industry as such. I think it is a little bit relevant, so that's why I'm just, although it may be repetition to some of you, but let us look at these facts also. Our global exports of the garments is 428 crores, 28 billion US dollars. And where we stand, our own exports from India is not more than 60 billion US dollars. There's such a vast scope in the business internationally, but we are, where we are. Take example of China, $165 billion. Take example of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is almost double than ours. It's a small country. There's an explosive growth in Bangladesh. And when we compare ourselves, then we feel such a big country, vast resources, all inputs are available here, and still we are lagging behind at 16 billion US dollars. If you take the total textile exports of the country, the garment exports form a 39% share of that exports. There is a lot of scope for this, but still, the 39% is also good of the total basket of the textile exports. After agriculture, this industry is the largest employer, and the employment that we give to the people, this industry employs, garment industry I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the textile industry. The garment industry employs 11.6 million people. It is said, the survey has said, that there are 11,000 garment manufacturing units in India. And we employ 11.6 million people in the garment industry. See how many people are dependent on this industry. Can I just have a glass of water? On an average, if one person is employed in a garment industry, there are 5% dependent on him. 11.56 million people, and in the other supporting industries like accessories and packing and whatnot, you will have again another 50% of that figure. So it means about 18 million people are dependent on this, which means there are about 90 million citizens who are dependent on garment industry. 9 crore citizens are dependent on this industry. So that is the scope that this industry has. This is the employment which can be given, which is being given by the industry. And if this industry expands, goes into high mode and competes internationally very well, then we can always have the possibility of having large number of people, and our country's aim that we want to reduce the poverty. This is one way of doing it. We will be in a position to reduce the poverty of our country as well. The government has fixed a target of 32 billion by 16-17, which means we'll have to double our exports in 2 years' time. Now, it requires lot of dedications, lot of hard work, and lot of investment and change of mindset as well. And once we achieve these things, this is of course one of the the textile ministry has given this target, planning commission has given this target, but the study which has been now done by Ajay Shankar committee, so that talks about 300 billion by 24-25. This is the kind of the target that has been fixed for the textile industry as such, which is very, very ambitious, but not difficult to achieve it. And of course, that study has also said that the whatever the raw material, like in a cotton we are exporting yarn. So rather than exporting these things, if it gets converted into garment, if it gets value added products, then it is very likely that we'll be in a position to achieve that kind of a target as well. Now this is just a overview and of the garment industry. Now the industry has certain inherent strengths, that we are the largest, second largest cotton producing country. We are said to be a king in cotton as such, and we export a lot of cotton. If you take the example of China, China produces 7,000 metric tons a year cotton. 7,000 million, or sorry, I think 7,000 metric tons it produces. The India produces 6,600. There's not much scope. I mean, not much difference between these two. But the China's exports and our exports, we compare and we find that there is such a vast gap in our exports. Look at the spinning capacity also now. We are having, I mean, the second largest spinning capacity in the world. We are also having the largest loom capacity in our country. 64% of the world's loom capacity is in India. And of course, we have large skilled workforce, and government is also taking various steps under the skill development initiatives to skill more and more people. And this industry is a low skill intensive and labor intensive, and this will definitely be in a position to tap that source and use it for our industry. The government is also taking a lot of initiatives for promoting the industry. Of course, some may say that the initiatives are not adequate and still something needs to be done, but government in its own way is doing a lot of things. Of course, everybody knows that the drawback scheme is there. APCC, zero duty APCC scheme is there. There are integrated textile parks which are there. There are other market linked focus product schemes and other incentives which are there. These all will be definitely used by the industry, and that makes us competitive to a certain extent. Another strength that I can see is the political stability. We have a strong democracy. The government is very, very committed to the trade, as you can see that, what Modi government is doing, in the initial days as such, the focus is on the trade, commerce and industry as such. And it is also said that wars are not fought on the battlefield now. The wars are on the turf of economics and commerce. And this is where we have to be very, very strong, and the political stability will make this happen. And there is no dearth of the entrepreneurial skills in India. Wherever, the people are so skilled, the entrepreneurial skills are so strong in Indians that, they can, out of any situation, they will be definitely coming this thing. Of course, we definitely need, a lot of, support and support systems, which the government and other society is also providing in many ways. Besides this, there are a lot of concerns. Now, the concerns I am talking about, again, of course, the government is supporting on one hand, and there are concerns on the other hand, and the government policies is also a concern. I am just talking about this. The government policy so far, in the past also, was promoting small units. We have a small scale industry, and the government promoted. It had its own objective of promoting the small industry. But I would say the government also has to concentrate on the large industries as such. From small, because small units will not be in a position to use the technology, will not be in a position to use the latest kind of machinery. They have their own limitations. So on the other hand, the government has to promote those large industries. And in one of the committees, I attended that committee, and Ajay Shankar, who is the chairman of committee appointed by the government, he asked a question: is there in the garment industry, is there any garment industry or unit which employs more than 10,000 people under one roof? And well, of course, I stood up and told to him that yes, I mean, the Chai is having, and there could be some more people also. Okay, under one roof, we are having more than 10,000 workers working in a unit. So he was a little surprised that, well, in garment industry also, there are units, there are companies where, we are having this kind of this thing. There could be many other also, but there are very few. Now, why we need to promote such large industries? It is because of the use of the technology and to have the economies of the scales. The larger you are, the larger, I mean, the economies, the more and more economies of the scales you will be, and you will be more competitive. But just by becoming big is no guarantee for success. It definitely needs a lot of, the supportive kind of systems and the strong management systems, strong control systems, and a focused kind of attention to the areas which they are in. The other concern is again as I talked about the cotton along with that cotton is the our ginning capacity. The old kind of implements we are using, old kind of technology we are using, and that is not suitable for our this thing, I mean, the garment industry or the textile industry as such, which is the raw material for the garment industry. The fabric weak processing, processing houses, or the dyeing houses, they are also very, very weak as such, as far as the requirements of the garment export industry is concerned. The high energy cost is again another area of concern where, I mean, you must be all experiencing if the electricity, the per unit cost is almost 8 to 9 rupees. That is what is costing us. But many times we have to use generators because all the time we are not getting electric supply, and we have to perforce use generators. And by using generators, our cost goes up. It goes to 22 to 24 rupees per unit. So that is means, I mean, that is the cost which is there, and this cost has to be borne by us as such, which is also very, very high. So of course, there could be many ways by which this could be reduced. Then the transaction cost and the poor infrastructure. This is known to all, and this adds at least to 10% cost to our FOB as such, and which makes us uncompetitive in the international market. Our labor laws, you are all aware how rigid they are. Those archaic laws which we have been following for for decades together are not relevant today, and we definitely need lot of overhauling of this thing. Government is trying to do something in this respect also, but the efforts which are there need to be stepped up more and more, because whatever they are, the cosmetic changes which are being done are not so useful for promoting, because we need the speed, we need the scale, and for that the bits and pieces changes or the amendments which are being done are not going to really help. And the interest rates, I mean, compared to the international kind of thing, our interest rates are also very, very high. There was a survey conducted, and all the chief purchasing officers, this factory survey was conducted. Now this was conducted by Mr. David Brenham, who was appointed by AEPC for conducting this survey, and out of that, this I have taken. So, and in that factory survey, we have found where we stand. This survey was basically done in 7 countries, like India, Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia, and Turkey. So these were the countries in which this was done, and it was found where we stand, where India stands in the matter of compliance, which is also very, very important. Without the compliance, we will not be in a position to get the kind of the orders that we are expecting. There we are slightly better in the sense we are ahead of China and Bangladesh, and we score on a scale of 100, we score 74. But although it is 74, there is no solace enough for this, because still we are at the 5th kind of a rank in those 7 countries. Now sustainability, which is also the topic for today. How much we score in sustainability? Sustainability, we are scoring only 20 out of 100, and our rank is at the bottom, at 7th. We are holding the 7th rank as such, which is very, very this thing. We have a long way to go in this respect, sustainability. And I'm really glad that we are having this workshop on sustainability and the excellence. The pollution, here again, we are just one step ahead of the bottom. That is, we are standing at 6th position with 45% score. Now the rest of the things, like productivity, attrition, lead times and bank interest, we stand at the 7th position. We are at the bottom. And particularly I would like to highlight here 2 things. Now to see the lead times, we are not even 0, we are -9. I mean, that is how our buyers, our chief purchasing officers, they are rating us. So I mean, we have just gone below the bottom as such. Lead times, we are highly in such a situation that we have to do something drastically. There could be many factors why the lead time is not adhered to, but we have to look at those lead factors, and if we have to sustain our industry, so these are the various things that we have to see, and at least not the first one, but at least we should be at the 2nd position in all these parameters. Now say for example, this workers attrition. Now the worker attrition, you will find there's a 10-12% workers attrition, which is a normal kind of this thing, and this is per month. It means in a year's time we'll be emptying the factory completely, more than that. And see the amount of efforts that goes into recruiting people, training people, and then again retaining them is very, very difficult kind of thing. In such scenario, now do you think that we are sustainable? Are we losing race? So these are some of the questions which come in mind, and this is some sort of eye-opening sort of thing, and which we really need to look at. Now coming to,
if you can focus how Shahi has been able to address some of these some of these challenges would be really of interest to people, because some of these challenges are known. So maybe you'll get some time to talk about Shahi's experience.
Okay. So let me come to that. Then I will skip these things. Okay. The best practices that Shahi has. So I talked briefly about the PACE program. Now let me say the PACE program is really making a difference in our company. The focus under this PACE program, personal advancement and career enhancement, is to empower female workers, which constitute up to 70% of our workforce. And we have been running this program for 7 years. Although the intention is to give them life skills and also the technical skills, but it was never intended that we should try to measure what impact it has made on the business as such. But out of curiosity, after doing this program for 3 years, then we thought, what is the impact which is there on the business? Because this was the demand from the people also which was coming up, and we really wanted that let us analyze and let us see this thing, what impact is made. And then we conducted some survey continuously for two years, and under that survey we find that the attendance compared, you take the line of the PACE line workers and the non-PACE line workers and compare the results. Now the results were compared in respect of attendance, their punctuality, their attrition, their productivity, and their efficiency. So these were the various parameters which we had, and under these parameters we conducted the survey. We found the attendance has improved. Attendance was higher by 3% compared to the non-PACE workers. Now the punctuality had dramatically improved. I mean, they were so they become responsible. They feel that this is my job, this is my company, I am responsible for everything. So that's why earlier, they used to come late and all that, that got, completely changed. As far as the attrition is concerned, the results showed the PACE trained workers have the tendency to stay more in the company than the non-PACE workers. And the result was 42% PACE workers, they were, the attrition was higher in respect of the PACE workers by 42%. So that was the kind of result that we have. Now on productivity, although productivity was not the focus of this program, it is a skill building or the personal or the life skill building program, but what effect it had made on the productivity was the non-PACE worker per worker, if the productivity was 10 pieces, the PACE workers productivity was 11 pieces, which means almost 11-12% the productivity was higher. And you can imagine if you have that much 10-12% productivity higher without doing anything, without investing anything in for increasing the productivity, it is coming automatically in your kitty. So that is really a wonderful kind of a thing. As far as the efficiency is also concerned, we found the efficiency difference was also almost 6% in respect of PACE workers compared to the non-PACE workers. So it is a fantastic program. This program is a program of the GAP proprietary program. In India, only 2 companies, we were the first one. Now this program is being implemented in various other countries also where the GAP is sourcing, like it is being implemented in China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and now they are also going to the African countries as well. And everywhere this program is making a lot of changes. In India also, another company has joined this program, and this is a voluntary kind of a program which GAP is promoting, and we have been doing, and we are sustaining the program. After 1 year's time, the entire thing has to be owned by you. You have to invest in that program, but it is giving a fantastic kind of a report. Now, you reverse PACE and read it, it becomes ECAP. This is another program that we have. This is our own invented or discovered kind of a program. What we thought, in respect of our workers, now this meaning of this is Employee Conduct Alignment Program. Now under this program, this we started for last 2 years. Under this program, we notice that we expect workers or everybody to behave in a particular manner. But does it happen? If it is not happening, then what needs to be done? Just by force or by just punishment, it is not possible to do it. There has got to be some sort of a motivation, some incentives have to be given, and we developed a program by which the things that we had noticed, they will be gossiping, people will be gossiping, they will be chit-chatting, they will be just whiling away the time, they will be coming late, they will be taking leave without this thing, they will be having gutkhas and other tobacco things on the floor. So various other things which we do not want to have on our shop floor, these things were happening. So we decided that those who behave as per certain parameters will be scoring certain points. If you are taking leave, well, you have to take the leave, but if you are taking the prior permission, with the permission if you are taking leave, then I know what is to be done. If this person is not going to come, I know that I have to make some arrangement for that one. But if it suddenly remains absent, then it becomes a problem. So then we decided get the positive and negatives. If you, and we were not telling them, reprimanding those workers, even if he is whiling away the time, will not reprimand. We'll just go to him and the supervisors will give him a slip saying that the 5 minus marks, nothing more. We are not doing anything, we are not telling him. And at the end of the month, in fact this program we reward them quarterly, and at the end of quarter we know what are the plus point that he has scored and what are the minus point that he has scored. He is supposed to score maximum 75 marks. And if he is not in a position to that one, and the qualifying for award, we have certain awards which are given, and for qualifying is 55. a worker must score at least 55 points, then he is eligible to get some sort of an award. And then what happened, initially there was a lot of problem, but subsequently people started, we started from the sampling department, and the sampling department is said to be a little difficult department. They think the tailors or the operators who are working there, for 20 years they are working there, and they feel that they know everything and nobody can tell them anything, and they have the value in the market also. So it is very, very, a pampered kind of a class, which we decided that first attack that particular thing in a positive way. And we found that the result in the first quarter, we found only 6 persons could score above 55 out of 400 people, and we rewarded them. That was the beginning, the 2 years back. And thereafter, then in the next this thing, it suddenly rose to 100 and then 200. Like that, it went on happening, and everybody fell in the line, And I'll give an example. Now here, I talked about the tobacco use, this thing, So one person, tailor was, having, the habituated to tobacco, and his all teeth had become, very, very, those, kind of, the yellow and everything. And one day he came to our manager, and he just grinned at him and showed his teeth to him, and he said, now you can see my teeth are white, and I have given up my tobacco kind of a thing. And so this is the kind of this thing. And another example which I give, I'm just giving this example so that you know that what is the effect of this program. So there was one person who was actually, every day he was late, kind of a thing. And we have a session at the end of the month that who are the people who are scoring correctly, and who are the people who are lagging behind. So those people who are lagging behind, we have a counseling session. And our manager wasn't counseling him. He said, why are you not coming on time? Because you are scoring everywhere, but everything is going negative because you are not coming in. And he was not opening up. And our personal manager also talked to him. The other manager also talked to him, but he was not. And suddenly then he burst out, and then he says, my wife does not give me tiffin in the morning, and that is the reason that I am coming late. Then the manager told him, just connect to your wife and then give me the call. And that lady, when our manager was talking to her, she said कि आप तो जो है कि इसकी समय पे आने की बात करते हैं, आपकी तनख्वाह तो नहीं बढ़ाते हैं इनकी. So that was the this thing, तो हमारे manager also he just gathered his sense. He said what to reply now, and he said कि ये इसलिए है कि because he is not getting whatever he is supposed to get, he is still not getting, because every day he is coming late. And because once you come more than 3 times late, your salary is again deducted. First let him get that much salary, then we can think of giving some more salary to him. And she said, if that is the case, I'll definitely see that he comes on time. And from the next day, next session, we found that he won the award. And so that is the kind of the transformation. If by just compelling them, they will not be in a position to do this kind of this thing, and which is a very, very effective. Without reprimanding, without punishing, if we can create that kind of a revolution sort of a thing, I think that our workforce can do a tremendous kind of a job. And this is working very, very. This has also given us the productivity also has increased. Your attendance has increased. Everything. Am I running out of time? Yeah. Okay. Then the environmental sustainability. Now here we talk about, when we talk about the environmental sustainability, Shahi is also doing a lot of things in this, and particularly sustainability means, you have to have a balance between your planet, your people, and profit. And if one, goes here and there, then the whole sustainability, curve, gets, disturbed, and which we have to really take. And I'm not going too much detail into these things, but we are also conducting some research. There are some professors from Yale University, they are also associated with us, and they are conducting some research on these various topics like temperature and LED. LED lights, now what effect it has on your attendance, productivity, and temperature. We have found if the conventional lights that you use and the LED lights that you use, we find that the efficiency is better when you use your this one LED lights. At the same time, efficiency, I mean, the difference was said to be almost 2-3%. Efficiency goes up, because of this, and the temperature also goes down. So this is, of course, we are in the process of this thing, but I'm just sharing this thing. Also, we are conducting a research on mental health of the workers. Now, here we have found that normally people are distressed, and 18% of the workers are distressed mentally. So what needs to be done, to bring out of that mental distress, syndrome? So that also, we have to think then what measures we need to take, and 18% of the workforce is quite a lot. And if they are mentally distressed, then it affects your production, it affects your everything, it gets affected. Then there is air pollution. Air pollution also here, when you start the work, that time we've noticed your productivity or the efficiency is low, and then as it goes up from the 4th hour onward, it gets stabilized, because in the beginning the pollution is little less, subsequently it increases once you start working, and your efficiency is also low, and after little after 4 hours, then it gets stabilized. Then power cuts is also another power cut, in the sense that if there is a power cut, it happens many times, I mean, for 2 minutes the light goes, or and then we keep on working on the generators. So how much loss that we make because of that thing, and it is the preliminary results are almost it affects our efficiency to the extent of 7%. So these are the various kinds of things. These are the preliminary findings. We have to yet to authenticate. We have to do some more work on this. But these are the various kinds of things which we are doing, and these are the various innovative things, when we do, I think then it becomes easier for us to sustain the business, to expand the business. And when we share these things also with our buyers also really feel that, yes, I mean, this is the company that, one needs to work with them, one needs to do this thing, and they also support, in fact, they also come with a lot of ideas on their own, and that becomes a win-win situation for them as well as for us. So, I think this is what I have to share with you, and I'm sure that with the stalwarts sitting here, we are not doing anything different that the others do not know as such, but it is definitely required that we have to put our things together, and once we do it, we can really, I think, we can turn the side in our favor, and the industry can really flourish, and whatever the aim that we have in our mind, that we want to be number 2, and the China is vacating the space, and we need to step into that space, and this is the way that we can do it. Thank you so much.